Hello and welcome to the YouTube Success Podcast. My name is Matt Hughes, King of Video, and this is the last episode of 2024. If you've been here before, then you'll know about the YouTube Success Podcast and how in August 24, which was almost 4 months ago, in fact, almost 4 months to the day, I pretty much abandoned this podcast. And I abandoned it for a number of reasons, but I just want to, this is such an important lesson in YouTube, podcasting, social media, digital marketing, success, just whichever way you want to look at it, this is an important lesson because I abandoned it without really looking at the numbers and understanding whether this was actually a success or not. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to demonstrate it to you so you can actually see what's going on. And I'll tell you why I've come back to the YouTube Success Podcast. But it should be fairly obvious with the title of this episode and also when you see the numbers. So the first thing here is to pay attention to your numbers. Whenever you're, there's a whole thing about vanity metrics. People talk about vanity metrics and they say that, just keep posting and don't pay attention to the numbers. Don't get disheartened. And it's only kind of partly true that, like, they're vanity metrics if you go to sleep and you can't stop thinking about the numbers, or if it keeps you up at night because you're so focused on your views and subscribers, then it becomes vanity. If you only do what you're doing focused on the numbers, then I guess vanity is the point. But when you're starting and when you're creating content and when you're testing and when you're moving forward with what you're doing, you must pay attention to the numbers because they're actually valuable metrics. They give you a sense of what's working and what's not working. And so I'm just going to show you what happened. The story about all of this is that I went and spoke at a conference in October. I met a couple of people and I really had this idea of becoming a full-time creator. And so I created this brand at Matt Fulltime. You'll see it on YouTube. There's plenty of stuff on there. I've been posting daily videos. Not quite. I've tried to do some daily videos. It didn't really work out as well as expected. And I just got this idea that I'll just show everybody from 0 to 100,000. That's what I would do. And I think I kind of got lost in what was working and what wasn't working. So in the last month, I've kind of looked back and reviewed my year and started planning what we're going to do next. And I was looking through the metrics for the YouTube Success Podcast and I was comparing them to the Matt Fulltime Creator Podcast. And what I realized is the YouTube Success Podcast has 100 times more views, 100 times more views than the Matt Fulltime podcast, or the Fulltime Creator Podcast. It has one of the episodes, the last episode, episode number 30, has over 1,000 listens to it. And there's been 6,500 listeners over the time that we've had this podcast. So there's a number of people that are listening to more than one as well. And without knowing any statistics about what makes a successful podcast or not, you don't really know whether you're doing a good job or not. You've just got people talking about it and you've got people looking at the charts and all that kind of stuff. You never hit the charts like you want to and all that kind of thing. But actually, when I looked at the numbers, somebody said to me that if you had over 1,000 listens on one episode, then that was a viral episode when it comes to podcasting. They said if you recorded and published more than 6 episodes, then you're already ahead of most podcasters. And we're on 31. So I'm sitting here thinking, hold on a minute. After having conversations with people, I think I need to probably pursue this and continue this a little bit more. And so I'm making a bit of a commitment to you, and I'm making a commitment to myself. And as we plan 2025 and as we sort of finish off this year, 2024, with a sort of renewed, excited view of what the YouTube Success Podcast will be, I've got a bit of a commitment, and it's a commitment I'm making now. I've still got some planning to do. I'm going to say it. And if it doesn't work out quite as I say it does, then that's fine. Because when we started this podcast, I said I was going to do an authority piece, then an interview, then an authority piece, then an interview. It never really worked out like that, did it? Here's those numbers for you if you want to look at those analytics. So if you're watching on YouTube, you will see that I'm sharing my screen. But I'll tell you what it is if you're just listening on your headphones. Then I'll tell you what it is. So all time, and I kind of alluded to some of this before when I was going through it, but all time we've had 6,873 people listen to the podcast, which is amazing as far as I'm concerned. In the last 28 days, there's been 639 downloads. That, even though we've not published anything since August, 639. Total listeners, 11,000 listeners. And in the last 90 days, there's been 2,067 downloads. If I click on that, I said I'd tell you about the episode. So one of the episodes, the latest one, which is the 13-step launch, a guide to launch a YouTube channel. In the last 28 days, it's had 284, and all time, it's had, there you go, 1,100 listens. There's a couple of others that had really good amount of listens. There was one with Louise Brogan, 852. I genuinely think that's because Louise has hit 100,000 subscribers now on YouTube. She's doing a great job. So I think her popularity has led to that episode doing particularly well. But the rest of them still getting a few hundred downloads. And so surely there's plenty of you listening that are subscribed to this podcast that have sat there and you've not had any notifications about a new episode. So don't worry. My plan here and my commitment to this is to publish 52 episodes next year. And actually, the way this is going to be structured, the way I'm going to structure it in my mind at the moment is I've got a YouTube challenge that starts in January. It starts in January. It's a course that you can take any time. If you go to youtubechallenge.co.uk, then you can grab hold of that. So it's a course you can take any time, but we're doing a live version of it in January. And what I'm going to do is I have a YouTube challenge, which is there's like 7 steps to it. And then there's the YouTube Launchpad, which is a bit more of a bigger, beefier course. And there, the way I kind of set things up now is you say you're a rookie or a beginner, you're a pro or you're an expert. And rookie beginner is YouTube Challenge, pro is YouTube Launchpad, and then expert is my YouTube Accelerator, which is still being created. Really, it's not quite finished yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deliver all of those things on this podcast. I'm going to give you all of the information on this podcast, totally free. If you want to come into my community and be part of that, you're welcome to come into that and pay the money to do it. But I'm kind of on Simon Squibb's view of the world, is that there's so much information out there, and if you have success or you feel successful, you don't necessarily need to charge for it. Look, I've got a community and you can come and pay to be in that community. And yes, I will charge for it. And yes, I charge for my time and I want to pay paid for brand deals and all that kind of stuff. But I also feel like there's some benefit in giving away a lot of stuff for free. And so that's what I'm going to be doing on this podcast over the next 12 months is giving you the information you need to go and implement if you want to. If you have no money, you don't want to, and you want to go and do it on your own. Then you can come into my community if you want to be surrounded by other people that are doing that, and you can join that and be part of it. Or you can work with me one-to-one as well. I actually have a one-to-one YouTube bootcamp where we work together for 13 weeks. But you don't have to pay me, which is crazy. But I do feel like the power of reciprocity does work. And I do feel like for some people, when I've been doing these podcast episodes and the YouTube channel, Matt Full Time, I've noticed that people are coming towards me to buy my courses, to buy my products and stuff. The more we put good free content out there, and that just sounds really weird, but I think it's just about reciprocity. I think it's about people wanting to be in your world and be around you. And so they're willing to pay for it when they've got a bunch of value from you already. And Gary Vee talks about this quite a lot. If you've read Jab, 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 whatever it is, he talks about giving loads of value, and then you make an offer, and you've given them so much value that the offer seems like a logical yes, because they're like, well, I kind of feel like I should give you some money for everything you've given me already. So that's kind of my view. And I think if we can do that on the YouTube Success Podcast, actually it makes this podcast really valuable. And it's something that I think you can share them with the people around you. And you can then say, if you liked the episode where Matt talks about the YouTube challenge, head over there and go and join and get involved in the community as well. So that's my plan. The third point the first point was pay attention to the stats. The second one was I'm going to plan to do 52 videos and what I'm going to give you during that time as well. The third point is that I want to be 4 episodes ahead on this podcast. And I think this is a general point to anybody that's starting on YouTube or anybody that's creating content. It's like, don't do it one at a time. Like when you're starting, absolutely do it one at a time. Like you've got to understand all the process around creating content, about filming, putting it all together, editing, repurposing it, promoting it all out into the world, all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot in the start to do it one at a time. But once you get into a rhythm, you should be like 2 to 4 episodes ahead all the time. So my commitment to myself is to make sure I'm 4 episodes ahead. And again, when I'm filming this today, I know I'm going to be editing this and publishing it today. So I won't be ahead, but my commitment is going forward into the new year that we'll then start to film in batches, 4 at a time, and get ahead. The point number 4 then of what we're doing for next year is we're also going to do interviews. So TubeFest is coming. If you don't know about my conference, it happens on April 25th, 2025. It happens in Birmingham. We were originally going to be in Dublin. We wanted to do it in Dublin, but it was just so cost prohibitive. There were so many problems we had trying to launch it in Dublin. And so we brought it back to Birmingham. And it's on April 25th. It's a one-day event. There's 14 amazing speakers. We've got some of the Irish speakers that I originally booked for Ireland, but they're coming over to the UK now. We've got some YouTubers. We've brought Louise back, as I mentioned, who's been interviewed on this podcast already, who's since TubeFest has gone from 10,000 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers, 105 the last time I checked. We've got Callum, who runs an amazing creator podcast. You should check that out. We've just got so many great speakers, and of course it's so tough to kind of get, if you don't know who the speakers are, like, you need to look into them, because with the creator economy the way it is, the creator ecosystem the way it is, like, actually you unless you're in their world, you're not going to know a lot of these creators, because they're just got super niches. So you need to look at them. I've got Joey, for example. I met Joey in Dallas at Vid Summit, and he's got 1.7 million subscribers making smoothie videos, and he lives in Amsterdam. He's across the water from us in the UK, and he's got such a great story. I wanted to bring that story to TubeFest and to kind of inspire you. He's got to 1.7 million subscribers in 2.5 years. I think he's had his channel much longer than that, but really he really took it seriously the last 2.5 years, and now he's a full-time creator doing it. So TubeFest is happening, and with that, in their contracts, the speaker contracts, I get to interview them for the podcast. So there's at least 14 episodes of interviews that will come. I tried to do that this year with TubeFest, but we never got to interview everybody. This time I'm making sure that happens, and we're going to do all those interviews in January, so they'll be scheduled for the foreseeable. And then finally, I will say thank you so much. If you are a regular listener, if you've subscribed to this and you're getting these episodes downloaded, thank you so much. I'm so sorry that I didn't keep up with it from August, but I am back. This is a priority. We're simplifying the whole business, and by having your ears and your eyes, if you're watching this on YouTube as well, it really encourages me to keep going and keep making sure that there's a bunch of people there. And I just know that I just need to focus on one person at a time, just helping one person at a time get to the next video, get their first episode recorded, get their channel launched. I know that that's the way we're going to get to success in 2025, and I'm here for it, and I'm here for you. So thank you so much. If you want to reach out to me, my name is Matt Hughes, King of Video. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me there, matt@kingofvideo.co.uk. That's my personal email address. If you send me an email there, you will get a response from me. And you can find me on all the socials as well, at Real King of Video or at Matt Fulltime. Thank you so much, and let's get 2025 absolutely rocking. I'll see you next year.